how you form your ideas is really important, and it's important that you know how that happens best for yourself, because every artist, I think, is different in the way that they arrive at their next project, their next exciting endeavor. I always sketch, and I always come up with all of my ideas in thumbnail sketches, and so it doesn't have to be an elaborate concept or a drawing for me. It can be very loose, very free form, and from that idea, from that free form sketch, I carry that into the larger painting or sculpture or whatever it is that I'm doing. So as a mind to paper process, it's more of just a very intuitive sketching. What I like to do is keep all my sketches and always have something new and exciting in the wings. I'm not the kind of artist that just focuses on one piece, finishes it, and then moves on to the next. I like to keep, maybe a dozen projects going at the same time. One of the things I love to do is never leave the studio at a point where I'm frustrated. I like to leave the studio at a point where, that feels right. I can't wait to get back in tomorrow. This is a new three-dimensional painting, basically. It's created as a painting, but then I cut it out and mount it. From that initial sketch, from that very rough, loose sketch that I create, it can indicate certain directions for me, but I never like to have it indicate everything, because part of the excitement of doing any project is that it's always free-flowing. It's always a fluid piece of creative process. If it changes along the way, that's perfectly fine, and that's really what you're looking for, because nobody can predict, what's going to happen 2 days from now on a piece. It's all just flowing, and you have to keep it fluid, otherwise you get so frustrated. It's like realizing our own humanity is invested in this, and we're not perfect, so there's no perfection. It all is an evolution of what feels right and what feels good, and then that is perfect enough. The vessels are some of my newest pieces, and they're really paintings on a dimensional surface. I create in plaster the shapes and forms, and then I paint the imagery over the vessels. I have numerous projects that involve both sculpture and painting, and so what I like to do is create the form as a sculpture and then paint over that. And to me, that frees me up so much to not be trapped by an edge, not be trapped by a certain space. And I think I'm really fortunate that I can do both things, that I can paint and sculpt, because I think the sculpture has freed me up into that realm of working dimensionally as a painter and as a sculptor. And so when I begin my paintings, I start those with the idea that they can go any place. They're not trapped. They've really got a very fluid kind of space that they exist in, and that really appeals to me. That's the way I love to work. A lot of my work, I've experimented with different points of view, aerial perspectives, and it's a perspective that exists, but not a lot of artists focus on it, and I like to focus on it because it does exist. It's a view that we don't see every day, but for an artist, it's an opportunity to imagine what that might be like. I love working in my studio. It's in the city. It's an urban area. It's so inspiring to be around an urban area like this, because it's so vital and so vibrant. So I get a lot of my ideas from the area around me and the surroundings. I also get kind of the excitement and that adrenaline from what's on the street. And so I try to bring that into studio. So I like to, have my door open in the back and live with, the noises of the city and the sounds of people, and bringing that into the free flow of the creative process is really important to me, to have that element. I think that impacts the way I work. I also love music, and so music certainly inspires, and it generates a lot of subconscious thought as you're in that process of building a painting or creating working on a sculptural piece. It's just you want to get into a place where you're just in a very comfortable zone where time doesn't exist. One of the struggles that artists have is, how to keep their social life engaging and exciting, because that feeds into your art. At the same time, you need to come in and close the door and really focus. And like any good writer, man, if you don't have that block of time every day that you just isolate the world and basically focus on your work, then you'll never achieve what you do. I love the challenge of somebody calling me and saying, we have this manuscript, can we send it to you, and will you come up with a full-page spread or a spot, whatever it is. I love that challenge, because to me they're looking at me for a visual solution and something that can feed off of that text and off of the message in the manuscript. So that is really exciting, and it's no different than really working on a painting or a sculpture. You're consumed with the ingredients of the challenge of the story, and that, along with a deadline, of course, that helps as well to put it all together. But that kind of, those ingredients are really very challenging, but very exciting. And since I love to draw, I see that as, that's my vehicle. That's the way I can express myself. And it's just like conversation. They're asking me to have a conversation with the manuscript, and basically that's what I'm doing with my work. I love the freedom of being an artist. I love it's not all about the struggle. It's about being excited about your life and bringing something to your life that really is compelling, and that is constantly, charging you up, energizing you, and making you look at the next thing. What could that be? What could the next exciting challenge for me be?